You're watching Eye on Africa here on France 24. I'm Alexander Orcott. These are the headlines across the continent. In Sudan, the party of deposed President Omar al-Bashir condemns a new law by the transitional authorities that will see the National Congress Party dissolved and its assets seized. With World AIDS Day taking place this Sunday, we'll bring you a report from the Central African Republic, where community groups and NGOs are helping people in remote areas get the medicines they need. And Senegal warns broadcasters to take skin whitening products off the airwaves, a step towards removing the harmful but still popular cosmetics from the shelves. We begin in Sudan, where deposed National Congress Party has condemned a new law that would dissolve it and seize its assets. The legislation was passed by the Forces for Freedom and Change coalition, the group that led months of demonstrations that forced out the NCP leader, President Omar al-Bashir, in April, and now shares power with the military. Yenna Lee has the latest.
For almost 3 decades under Omar al-Bashir's regime, a public order law effectively clamped down on civil liberties. Women were the main targets of this legislation. Hundreds of thousands of them have been prosecuted. Such as this activist who wishes to remain anonymous. She was sentenced to 100 lashes in 2010 for drinking alcohol.
Flogging destroys you inside. I became a more violent person. I would get mad and break things. These changes within me happened because I was a victim of violence.
Article 152 of the country's Criminal Act states that indecent acts, obscene outfits or anything contrary to public morals in a public place is punishable with flogging, a fine or both. Born out of conservative Islamic social codes, the law de facto imposed a dress code on women and restricted their social lives, education and careers.
We have a lot of systemic violence against women that's aimed at limiting their participation in political and social life. We have laws that encourage law enforcement to perpetrate violence against women.
The head of the civilian-led cabinet, Prime Minister Abdallah Hamdok, described the law as a tool of exploitation and humiliation. By repealing it, his government is putting into action some of the reformist policies it had promised. For women's activists in Sudan, it's just the first step of many to achieve gender equality.
The Chief of Staff of France's army has dismissed claims made by an affiliate of the Islamic State group that it caused the helicopter collision earlier this week that killed 13 French troops in Mali. Speaking to our sister radio station RFI, General François Lecointre said no shots were fired at the aircraft that were carrying out an operation against the jihadists in pitch-black conditions. Let's take a listen.
There were no shots fired by jihadists against our helicopters. There was a collision between 2 helicopters and a very complex combat operation. And as I've mentioned on another radio program, it's a very complex operation that required concentration, risk assessment, and very fine coordination. This coordination was made complex because of the situation of combat and has led to this accident. But there was no attack by jihadists.
Now, this Sunday, December the 1st, marks the annual World AIDS Day. Although still incurable, modern medicines can help people with the virus live normal, long lives, but it can be a struggle for those in remote areas to get hold of the drugs that they need. Well, in the Central African Republic, community groups and NGOs are helping people with the disease, staying true to this year's theme, Communities Make the Difference. Clement Bonnereau tells us more.
Marina has been living with HIV since 2010. She was forced to flee 2 years ago after fighting erupted in her home area. She returned to Zemio in September to seek treatment.
Before, I was strong and healthy with the treatment. Because of violence, I had to flee to the DRC. We didn't have anything to eat. It was very hard. I couldn't take my pills. That's when I got sick again.
The Umbumu region has the highest HIV prevalence rate in the Central African Republic. An estimated 12% of the population lives with the virus, more than 3 times the national average. For many, medicines are hard to come by.
People here are very poor. People are starving. Some women have to work as prostitutes in order to survive.
To help people like Marina get their medication, global charities like Médecins Sans Frontières have set up community groups with the support of the UN. Members take turns going to the hospital, this to limit the number of trips patients need to make and share transportation costs. Of the 700 community group members in the region, 80% have had their viral loads suppressed thanks to effective treatment in the past year.
The nurses came to check my viral load. I am now undetectable.
According to the UN, about 500,000 people living with HIV in Africa die every year because they cannot get treatment. They account for more than 60% of global HIV-related deaths.
Now, South Africa's former president Jacob Zuma has had his bid to appeal against a corruption trial rejected by the High Court. The 77-year-old's case has taken several legal twists and turns over a decade and a half as he's attempted putting legal blocks in place to prevent being prosecuted. The former ANC leader is facing 16 charges of fraud, graft and racketeering. Amongst that, he's accused of taking bribes worth €250,000 related to an arms deal while deputy president 20 years ago. Now, Senegal's media watchdog has warned radio and television stations against broadcasting adverts for skin whitening products. The promotion of skin bleaching is forbidden under the National Press Code, but no laws exist to regulate the sale of the products. Kesal, as it's known, remains popular, especially amongst women, despite it posing serious health risks. Sarah Sacco and Elmine Dao report from Dakar.
Nestled in a busy street in a suburb of Dakar, Nafissatou runs a small boutique brimming with skin products.
This body lotion lightens the most. It lightens the skin in 10 days. It's the best.
Body lotions, oils. Nafissatou sells a range of skin whitening products that she makes herself from ingredients that come from Nigeria or Thailand. She's a big fan of her own concoctions and promotes their results on social media.
Over time, I've wanted to become whiter and whiter because it's so pretty. Men here love fair skin. Africans love light skin.
Nafissatou and her friend say they're not worried about their health. The risks associated with skin lightening are frequently ignored by women who bleach their skin, in part due to the huge availability of whitening creams at almost all corner shops. Most of these products contain hydroquinone, corticosteroids or even mercury, compounds that are dangerous to health. Professor Fatimata Lee, a dermatologist, has been actively warning women about the risks of using them.
There are serious consequences that can be fatal. They can lead to death because of severe infections, such as strep bacterial infections, or even skin cancers.
Local celebrities are also speaking out about the use of these products to raise awareness, like the rapper and activist Human.
I'm sick and tired of seeing ads and publications denigrating beautiful black skin. They say that being lighter is trendy, but it just ruins self-confidence. It's psychological, and it's a fight that will take years. It has to be in the press, in the media, everywhere, so that black women can assert the beauty of their skin.
Last month, around 20 associations urged the government to take measures to control skin whitening products that go further than just banning ads in the media.
And that wraps up this edition of Eye on Africa. Stay tuned, more news coming up on France 24.